You're listening to the Loving Your Own Soul podcast, and I'm your host, Britt Olson. Guided by my own intuition, my intention is to deliver genuine conversations centered around health and wellness, spirituality, self-expression, and culture. In this space, I will provide you with real-life stories, theories, and inspiring perspectives to help you uncover and tap into your own true potential. I'm so grateful you've chosen to tune in with me on this mindful exploration to living a more fluid life through a deeper connection to the soul. Now let's dive into today's journey. All right, so today's conversation is a really fun one in that my partner, my husband, Dan, is here with me.
I'm back again, folks.
And we are going to be fully flipping the mic where you are going to be interviewing me today.
That is correct. It's been something we've kind of chatted about for a while and drummed up some questions, so hopefully give a little bit deeper of an insight to your listeners for some more behind the scenes, we'll call it, of Britt.
Yeah, this is going to be fun. So what's funny is as you were talking, I just looked at your watch and it is 3:18. And 3:18 is one of my angel numbers, as I call them, as that is a number that kind of tends to follow me in different areas of my life. So super fun to have that. But before we kind of kick off here and I hand everything over to you, talk about releasing control. I just wanted to talk about something because here in the next couple months, we've got my retreat coming up down in Rincon, Puerto Rico. And Rincon is a location that is super special to both of us, me for different reasons, and then us together as a partnership because we actually got married down in Rincon. Cool. And I would love to know just, you know, I feel like we've been talking so much about it with just all these different people. I've done a couple Instagram lives with some locals down there and just all about like the magic of Rincon. But I would love to hear from you just what is it about that place that you love, or what is it about travel that you love? Like, do you have any insight that you could provide the listeners? They're not always hearing how much I love it.
Yeah, absolutely. So obviously, Puerto Rico is a very special place, like you kind of said. But on top of it, I would say the nice thing is that it is where we go. It's not San Juan. It's not nothing that there's wrong with San Juan, but Rincon is just like this perfect little sleepy beach town still. It's got just that kind of small town, laid back vibes, that kind of stuff. But there's just something about it once you get there, you kind of just you feel the weight lifted off of you. It's just easy. It's relaxed. But the nice thing is it's not quote unquote island time, but it is. It's one of those things that the locals there take great care of you. They love having you there, that type of stuff. But it's also just one of those things that it's just a nice, easygoing place. And that's what I think for me was kind of that's what drew it to me. And obviously the surf is great. Food is phenomenal. People, everything like that, the culture, it's all there, it's all encompassing, and it's kind of this, it's not really an unknown hidden gem anymore, but it is this gem of a place that is just truly special. And it's once you get there and you kind of feel it, you're like, oh, okay, this makes 100%. Like, I get what you're saying.
Cool. Yeah, couldn't agree more. Why you've traveled a lot in your life, and I know you also are a big proponent of taking a break when needed, getting out of town, resetting the brain. Why do you feel that travel or experiencing new things or just taking time for yourself is so important?
For me, travel's a big thing. Is it you can get into a rut or into a routine that quote unquote isn't healthy for you, or you kind of get stuck. But travel, as well as it just opens your mind and opens you to new experiences. I think we all want to learn. We all continually want to do stuff, and travel helps you learn how to, oh crap, I don't know what that means on the menu. Okay, how can I figure out how to do this? Or how do I figure out the road signs or this and that? Like, it just opens you up, and it really helps for me in the realm of kind of that reset. Like you said, it gives me that reset button, but it sparks my mind of new things. It opens it up to learning new things and slowing down. You usually feel like when you're on vacation as well, like people are like, oh, I lost all this weight going into vacation, so I'm fit and all this kind of stuff. And then once they get there, they eat whatever they want, but they don't gain any weight because you've released that stress. You release that burden of, oh, I got all this stuff going on when you're on vacation, and you're building that and you're having fun with those around you and yourself, I think is a huge thing. And just travel, vacation, the reset all are encompassing. Some people, hey, I hate traveling. You still need a reset. You still need to take that time away and take that time for yourself so that then you can be the best you can be. You can be great physically, but if you're not there mentally or emotionally, then you're not there. So taking those mental resets, taking those emotional resets, and really diving in and taking care of yourself on those. Because if you can't take care of that, can't take care of anyone around you. And we all are, we want to help people. We want to take care of others. We want to naturally be a part of the community. And if you can't be the best that you can be for the community, then you're missing something. So
yeah, cool. Thank you for that. Yeah, I love travel. I'm so grateful to have a partner like you who equally enjoys travel and just experiencing life, and yeah, but more importantly, taking that reset. Could not agree more. So for those of you listening, if you have not signed up yet, whether you will be joining us for a retreat to close out 2021 or some of our future retreats, highly recommend joining us down in Rincon, Puerto Rico, December 3rd through the 6th this year. So that way we can really just close out the year together, work on your own inner journey, get to know yourself, also be in community, sharing energy in community, and then equally experience a new place and experience the magic that exists down in Rincon. It's truly amazing. So I will leave it at that. One more thing, Dan, before I officially hand the mic over to you. I love everything that you said there. You recently secured a partnership with a nutritional supplement brand that both of us have absolutely been loving, and you secured it for yourself, but then also me, that we're kind of like tag teaming the discount code to just really better help get the word out to those around us about the benefits of mushrooms and adaptogens and supplements and really taking care of your health. And that partnership is with Cured Nutrition, who a couple people might be familiar with by now. If not, highly recommend. I will let you kind of speak to them and their products and just what you love about them. But before we jump into that, we will of course list the discount code again at the end of this. But if you are interested in trying out Cured Nutrition, you can follow the link in the show notes and use the code Olson, which is OLSON, for 10% off. And Dan, why do more people need Cured Nutrition in their life?
So I've been a big component, or not a big component, but I was the guy that was, I'll say it, addicted to energy drinks, addicted to coffee, all that kind of stuff. And as we all know, caffeine can be a massive hindrance to people as well. So I started kind of with Cured on what was called Rise. They came up with this formula in a capsule that you can take 1 to 3 a day in the morning, and it is a natural caffeine. And I won't even call it a caffeine, but it gives me that natural feeling of what I normally would need to get out of like 4 or 5 cups of coffee. But it's not the jittery or you don't get the real down afterwards, that jolt. So I started with Rise, and then they also make a Zen, which is for you take before bedtime, and they're all adaptive mushrooms, along with CBD and some other, and it's all pure. They have all the testing, all that kind of stuff. It is as pure as you can get for CBD. They're based out of Colorado. It's a company that I wholeheartedly stand behind, and I kind of really relate with Josh Sheehy, who's the founder and CEO of it. And he's built the premise and is very clear on his message, what they're doing, all that kind of stuff, and building. They're not just a CBD brand, they're a supplement company, and that's what's so cool. But they're not just an off the wall supplement company. They've really fine-tuned and honed in on what they're really good at. They're getting ready to release what's called Drink Cured, which is an elixir that I'm super excited about because 1, I love carbonated beverages, but 2, now instead of having to grab that cup of coffee in the afternoon or even in the morning, you can have one of those. From everything that I've seen and kind of what we've learned kind of behind the scenes on it, this is revolutionary. So it's going to be a super cool product that way. And then they obviously still have their CBD tinctures, all that kind of stuff. They're raw capsules. They also make dog treats. They make this really cool thing that I do still, like I'll put in with a decaf coffee called the Cured Stick, or it's with cinnamon, honey, a little bit of CBD, put it in there with a milk frother, and it is to die for. I love it. Good. It's so good. But just the whole company as a premise and what they stand for and how they go about things is just, it's really resonated with me, and it's helped me a lot to kind of cut that coffee cravings out. And I kind of started with one product and then got into it more and more. And yeah, super excited about the new kind of partnership that we've got and through the Olson Project and all that, and with you as well. And like I said, they're just a great company and great people. So definitely make sure to go to curednutrition.com and check them out.
Yeah, they're awesome. They're super, super cool. And we're also like really selective on, we've tried a lot. We've been through a lot. We've been on, a health journey for quite a while now. I myself have tried so many different supplement brands, and these ones, like, you actually see results. And what I think is so cool is that the company is just so honest about their products, and also is super open with you and is like, this is how other CBD companies in particular, not really herbs and mushrooms and adaptogens, but just talking CBD in particular, like, they often dilute it, and there's different things with percentages and how the tinctures are made and all this stuff. So like, if you've tried CBD before and you were like, it did nothing for me, it's probably because you were taking a super diluted version of CBD and it's not super high quality ingredients. So that was just one other thing that I love about their company. And yeah, I just think it's super inspirational for you in particular, just how you've really switched your lifestyle. And also, with experimenting with things, you really have to find the product that works for you and that your body likes and responds to. And both of us, I shouldn't just say you, both of us have really found that with Cured. So yeah,
and just there, even like kind of to mention on the CBD side of things, like, I've noticed I've taken a lot of other brands as well, thinking like, oh, this and that for joints and this and that. But Cured is the one thing that I do feel a difference on. My joints move freer. They're just the overall, all their products have truly helped me. They also have what's called Aura, which is a gut balance as well, which is really good. And they've kind of got it all. It's really nice because they've even broken it down into recovery, into daily stuff. Like, it's kind of, and they do them in packages, so you can just buy one package and you get Rise, Aura, and Zen. And then they do a CBN now, which is a tincture that you can take in conjunction with Zen and really help you get those REM sleeps and all that kind of stuff. It's really opened and helped me. Like, last night, I took a Zen just because I was like, I really want to sleep, and just one of them knocks me out. And I woke up this morning like ready to take on. I mean, we did yard work for 4 hours and still going. Yeah. So it was one of those things that I just truly wholeheartedly believe in the company and what they do and what they stand for.
Yeah. And the products too, just they work naturally with your innate intelligence of your body without sending anything into overdrive like those energy drinks or caffeine, like you used to mention, did for you. So Cool. Well, thank you. Again, if anyone is interested in trying out Cured Nutrition, we could not recommend it enough. You can use code Olson, OLSON, for 10% off. And Dan, shall we get into it?
Let's go. I'm excited. Are you excited?
Oh, I'm excited. I'm a little nervous, to be honest.
Well, we've got some questions. They're going to bounce around a little bit. We got some funny ones, maybe some, hopefully to open you up. But I know you've kind of answered this already on the podcast, but just for those who maybe not have heard that one, what made you first get into podcasting?
Really good question. So for anyone who is new here to the show, new to me and my journey, I am a podcast host, obviously, of this show, Loving Your Own Soul. I am also a spiritual wellness and life coach as well, and entrepreneur, business owner, CEO, just a whole bunch of different things. Overall, just a huge proponent of living a life that is as fluid as possible and as unique to you and what you're going for in this lifetime. But I started this podcast really from an inner soul calling. And like, if that sounds cheesy to you because you haven't experienced it, I totally get how cheesy that can say until you really get in touch with your soul and your mission here in this lifetime. And then that statement is just as true as it can be, and there's nothing else to say about that. But I had actually listened to my first show back in 2015, I think it was. So as we are closing out this year, coming up on almost 7 years ago, which is wild. And that very first show I listened to was an interview style episode, and just this voice inside of me was like, you need to do this. This is your thing. And I, of course, tried to quiet that voice down. Who am I to do this? Who am I to bring on highly regarded guests and hold these conversations? I was struggling with expressing myself at the time and really opening up my voice and healing a lot of those childhood wounds and things like that, lifetime wounds that I had been carrying on with me. And sure enough, as time went by, that voice didn't go anywhere. And every time I listened to a podcast, almost every time it kept coming back, like, you can do this, you can do this. So I finally did it with the support of you, Dan, which I'm super grateful for. There's a lot of things I've been able to accomplish and do because of having your support and actually having someone support me. And like having people support us in this life is unlike anything. I think it is one of the most important things that we can have. But yeah, I went for it and I just was so lit up by it. It was like the biggest hell yes I felt throughout my body, one of the biggest ones. And I went through it. And sure enough, a year and a half, almost 2 years later, we are running a podcast and it's awesome. And I'm still loving it and I'm figuring out how to streamline things. I'm still trying to release that inner perfectionist to just go with it. It's teaching me how to have as much fun as possible and how to not take life so seriously and how to really entertain these deep conversations that I think we need to be having more of. And if we can't have them physically or over Zoom, we can at least listen to them in this podcast space. So I just think it is just a crucial element of our life and where we are. And I just feel super privileged, to be honest, to be able to do it myself.
That's awesome. And to kind of further that a little bit, what have you've said you've worked on a bunch of stuff to release inner traumas, that kind of stuff. Can you enlighten a couple of more people or enlighten me as well? Of like, I've seen the process. I've seen you go through this, but how have you felt like you've succeeded at letting those go and really opening yourself up to saying to not be perfect, to not have the perfectionism, that kind of stuff?
Yeah, 100%. I'll say it started with a little bit of self-awareness and a little bit of that voice in the back of my head again that I couldn't quiet. That was like, you're meant for more. It doesn't have to be this way. You know, whatever that little voice is that chimes in that we're like, no, that's crazy. Like, this is my life. This is my definite lifeline. So a little bit of self-awareness there. And then honestly, kind of, I don't want to call it a rock bottom, but just becoming super disconnected from myself and my truth, more so that something had to give. So I went to my first therapy session, and therapy brought to me again, a greater state of awareness, some different ways of thinking. It kind of took all the self-help and spiritual books that I was already reading and like brought them to a physical person in a way to talk through things with. That helped. However, nothing against therapy. This is just my personal experience and I absolutely love therapy. What was missing for me was then the action items and the accountability. I get that all this is here. What am I doing to shift it and change it? And I do believe that was just my experience in my first therapy session 5 years ago, maybe. That kind of opened the doorway. And then I really honestly dove headfirst into the world of podcasts and the world of books and trying different things and seeing, okay, if this person who is literally nothing more than a human, as I am right here, right now, can make a change in their life, I am probably capable of that as well. And really connecting with the universe and my spirit guides and angels and my whole spiritual side and being able to see the way that like we are literally energy in motion and nothing more than that. And then starting to flip my mindset and doing some different reframes of the way I was thinking and my perception on life, and then seeing, okay, when you switch the mindset and the perception, suddenly the reality starts shifting. And it's like, whoa, this is real stuff. Like everybody on world stages or on YouTube or in podcasts like talking about this stuff, once you get a taste of it and you see that there is actual tangible change behind it, at least for me, let's go all in. And then it just went a lot deeper. I've worked with my own set of coaches as well. Mentors are huge. Going through this work with community and having people there with you is absolutely amazing because you're able to support each other. Again, I started off trying to do it alone. You can't do it alone. Like, it helps so much. And you also can't do it off of books and Instagrams and things like that. Like, I started there, but there's so much more to it. And then really tapping in and learning how to emotionally heal and regulate and release, going into the guided meditation state and really getting to know my inner child and where she's been, my past lives, getting to know my own soul and really appreciating her for who she is, understanding some of the things that I've been carrying aren't even mine. Some of these things attached to me like a sponge in childhood or in the womb or from past lives. Like there's all these cords that need to be cut. What else? EFT tapping, really finding emotional freedom, journaling, but doing all different kinds of like emotional releasing and regulation, getting things out of my nervous system, energy healings. I mean, it just goes on and on and on, creating a clear channel in my body, not only energetically, but physically as well. Like food and health has played a huge role in all of that. Really just putting myself first. I feel like I just gave you a whole brain dump of things, but yeah, that's kind of the overall like the umbrella of kind of what it looked like. And it's a daily process. There's not like a journey that we end on. To be honest, every time I like reach a new level, I'll call it, for lack of a better phrase, it's like the universe gives me something else and it's like, cool, we got through that. Now let's see what this is. And yeah, it's just been a fascinating journey, but honestly, I would not trade it for the world.
Awesome. How did you come up with the name Loving Your Own Soul?
So name honestly came to me through a meditation and through journaling. I had an old blog and Instagram account called Finding Viridian that I made back in right after college, I think it was. And what I'm doing now is honestly what my soul has been wanting to do for a really long time. It just took me a whole lot of experiences to get here. However, all of those experiences really molded and shaped me to where I am today. But I was over the Finding Viridian name. I was like, I think I want to try this again. I have been told that I should stop posting inspirational quotes on Finding Viridian and that I should like stop all of that years ago. So unfortunately, I listened to that instead of listening to myself. And then a couple years ago, I was like, I want to do this. I want to like creatively express myself and work through these things and know that people can hear me and people can understand me. And like, I do have a voice, and I have more of a voice than just the voice inside my journal that comes out pen to paper. As much as I love that voice, really exercising my vocal voice and actively speaking my truth out into the world has again been a huge catalyst of my own growth and healing journey. But Loving Your Own Soul just really seemed to summarize the journey that I was on, but also the journey that we are on throughout our entire life. It just came to me, and then naturally my head went. I checked to see if the Instagram handle was available and it was, and I kind of went from there. Nice.
Kind of to tee off of that, kind of growing up, did you know that you always were going to do what you're currently doing now?
No.
Okay.
Not at all. Not even close. There are some different strings that I can see the similarity. So my underlying goal was always that I wanted to help people once I hit high school. Before that, I have been obsessed with the ocean. I was obsessed with crystals and archaeology and ancient lands, again, like all of that throughout most of my life. So I thought I wanted to be an archaeologist, a geologist, a marine biologist, an oceanographer.
An ologist of some sort. Yeah. An ologist, we'll call it.
Something that you're exploring the earth, the ancient land, like shipwrecks or old cities that have fallen to the ground, finding artifacts, finding crystals, like all that stuff. Then figured out that no, I don't think science is necessarily the route for me. Stumbled into the world of event planning, and that was really where I saw about how bringing people together and having like a hands-on approach with people, you can actually help people in that realm. So through that, my whole life, I was like, I just want to help people. And now that lens did shift from sporting events and working in surfing and the water sports industry to then thinking like, okay, I don't think there's money and like success here. Like I have this massive drive inside of this CEO high level personality. So I funneled that through the corporate marketing and events and PR world and did all that. And it was amazing, and it taught me so much, and it really groomed me for where I am today to be able to sit at high level round tables and have dinner conversations and also meet people whose names you're reading in magazines or you're seeing on TV and learning that like they're just people. For me, I don't get starstruck. Everyone out there, no matter where you are, no one is better than the other. So that showed me a lot there, and it also showed me a lot about money and just using money in ways that I didn't completely resonate with. It was super fun and it was a lot of fun, but I didn't resonate with it. So then I was like, okay, well then go back to the nonprofit. It wasn't until, your health journey, going through my health journey, that I realized like, okay, working for different nonprofits and again, other people's missions still wasn't in line with my mission. And then I really had to get back to that mission that I am here to heal myself and uplift humanity and the collective all at the same time. And again, it really stems back to those principles of guiding those to live a more fluid life. As I say with like the tagline of this podcast and the tagline with my work and my coaching and my services that I provide is that it is a mindful exploration to living a more fluid life with a deeper connection to the soul. Really the summary of it. And it might change still. I'm only 31. I have such a long life ahead of me. This could be a blip in the radar, but for right now, this is the most whole work I've ever done. There isn't a piece that's like, oh, but I wish I was doing this. Like, no, I am right where I'm supposed to be. And I've worked really, really hard to get here. And it did not happen overnight, to answer your question.
No, yeah. We've talked obviously previously on the podcast about my health journey and all that kind of stuff. You kind of just touched on it a little bit, but I don't think a lot of people know about your health journey. Could you enlighten us as well and kind of even refresh me, because you kind of forget about it. And I never want to forget about that, but enlighten us on your health journey.
Yeah. Absolutely. First and foremost, with my health journey, TMI for some, honestly, it's just a part of life. I was chronically constipated my entire life. Thought that it was, oh, this girl just, can't take poop. Okay, like this little kid, why can't this little kid poop? Like, why is the stomach getting so bloated? And then as life would go on, it was almost just like, well, you have to use the bathroom. Like, this is so bad to hold yourself this long. Me not being able to express, like, I'm not doing this on purpose. Come to find out throughout my late 20s, basically as the world kind of opened up and I started learning things, I was like, oh, having a bowel movement once a week and living extremely bloated and extremely inflamed and having these toxins running through your body 24/7 causing brain fog and anxiety, acne and skin things, and who knows what else, honestly. I had a whole bunch of like parasites, the overgrowth of candida and all those kind of things that I was like, okay, this is not normal. Come to find out, oh wow, it's really, really not normal. On top of my high stress levels and things, we open this up with like caffeine, doing high amounts of caffeine, drinking high amounts of caffeine. That was a piece of it. So understanding my gut health to then understand that, oh, I did have a bacteria imbalance. On top of it, I do have some intolerances to some of the foods that are not as natural. That doesn't mean I grew up eating, in air quotes, a very healthy diet. However, there were still foods involved that my body didn't like. Didn't know those things. So it wasn't the fact that I was, mentally unable to take a bowel movement. I do always think there's a little bit of a mental and mindset piece there per your environment and understanding us as individuals. Yeah, there was some internal stuff going on there. On top of it, as really a lot of us females, as I'll say, have struggled with from my generation, is I had then a lot of disordered eating habits, emotional eating, overeating, and restricting cycles, and thinking that putting all my self-worth into a dress size and thinking I had to, once I could reach this certain weight, then my whole life would shift. All of that. So I had that whole piece of it. I then found out that I had extreme hormone imbalance from all my years on hormonal birth control, or just birth control in general, to be honest, that had that going on. I had gotten sick overseas at one point in my life. This is really just a small blip, but I had a bacteria infection in my large GI tract, I think it was. Really what came from that, the main precipice, was that I was put on really, really heavy antibiotics for a month and a half maybe, when my gut health and internal health was not at a great state. I looked good on paper. I could do all the things. You can look good on paper, and that doesn't mean that you're healthy on the inside. I just want to say that. It is a very true thing. That is also not to live in a state of fear. And then also not understanding too, like how chemically sensitive I am, how sensitive I am to others, how disconnected I was from myself, being that people pleaser and perfectionist, and just all the emotional and energetic side of things that took place. Like, it was a whole gamut of a whole handful of things that, right before your health journey and learning about the medical medium, right before that, back in 2018, and it was like this sudden just soul remembrance. It kind of started with food. The spiritual aspect has always been there for me, but I felt like the food and really clearing my body out was really the main turning point that then turned everything. And now all these experiences are simply that. They're not labels, they're not identities, they're things I've experienced. And the relationship I have with my body is the best. I never knew that this type of relationship with my body and with myself was even possible.
That's awesome. So you might hear some crunching in the background. That is our lovely dog, Mocha, has decided to eat. We're doing this actually at the kitchen table, so don't mind that if you hear some light crunching.
Get to know our entire family.
Yeah. With that, what do you love about your relationship with yourself / soul? And what do you not like about your relationship with yourself / your soul?
Well,
it's a two-parter.
Yeah. I don't know that there's anything that I don't like. However, there are always areas with room for improvement. So there are certain things, for instance, my fear of failure, my massive fear of failure, that I could beat myself up all day long about and get really mad at myself about, or really down on myself or whatever. And that's not to say I haven't before, or really string myself out and get really anxious and all those things, which I have, and sometimes I do still. However, for me, that's not something I don't like about myself. It's something that I've learned to accept about myself because it is a piece of me. It's also, you can look at my human design chart and I have a gate that is fear of failure. You can look at past lives. You can look into my astrological chart. All those things if you want, or you can just look at who I am, and instead of trying to skirt away from it and get pissed about it or whatever it is, it's like, no, that's a piece of me. I just now need to understand how to work with it. And that is what has been really, really key. But other things that I've had to work with are that inner perfectionist. I would love if she could just go away. My life would be so much easier. But again, that's a piece of me. And there's also a lot of benefits that come from that as well. But there are some shadows and things that you just have to have really strong self-awareness. And for anyone listening, if you're feeling super disconnected or like you don't have self-awareness, that's okay. We all go through periods without it, or sometimes our whole life without it. The best way to get to know yourself and start developing self-awareness is to check in with yourself every single day, if not multiple times a day. You can do so in a journal. You can do so mentally if you'd like. I really recommend it in a journal because there's something about getting those thoughts onto paper and doing something with them compared to just letting them run through your mind. That is a huge piece of it. And there are, of course, a lot of other modalities, but really checking in with yourself and seeing, how am I feeling, noticing the patterns, what's taking place today, how am I now, how am I this, and like really being honest and getting to know yourself is literally the first step. And then you can do all the fancy things, brain rewiring and the emotional regulation and EFT tapping and actual energy healing that actually works for you and all the other things that are super fun. Anyway, though, so just a little tangent there because I've said self-awareness a couple times and I know how much that can feel like a slap in the face if you're like, that you're making this sound so easy. And for me, it's not easy. I get it because it hasn't always been easy for me. Other things that I quote unquote dislike about myself would be,
or like about yourself. It's not this is not just a dislike.
Yeah, true. So things I really like about myself, I love my passion, I love my drive. And there's two sides to every coin. You know, there's high sides and there's low sides of all of these qualities. I love my new sense of self-worth, my sense of ambition, my ability to really regulate myself, my ability to understand and listen to my body and understand that, oh, this feeling or symptom might be something. This is just not a coincidence. Having X symptom over and over and over again is not normal, and that these are not normal states. I love my curiosity and my ability to really jump in and learn something or try something. That may not mean that I do it ever again, but I really like to at least dip my toe in and get a little taste to see if that's something. My personality, my sense of compassion, what else do I really like about myself? I think that's it. I think I'll kind of stop there. It's honestly kind of like a hard thing for me to answer. I was actually thinking, yeah. But it is, I said on a podcast episode recently, like, I love myself. And there's been many, many times in my life, even saying it now feels a little funny. And I'm like, oh God, is that the ego? And I'm like, no, that's you. Like, that's true. I'm at a place in my life where I can honestly say I love myself wholeheartedly and not from the ego. And I think that is just such a great place for us to be in. But that doesn't mean I feel it every single day. We still have the ebbs and flows. We're all just human.
Absolutely. We're going to go, this is going to be not a 3-part question, but there's going to be 3 age demographics to it. If you give yourself...
It's not a 3-part question, but it is a 3-part question.
It is. So we're going to go about this. If you could give your 10-year-old, 18-year-old, or 25-year-old self one piece of advice at that age group, what would it be? First, we'll start with the 10-year-old self.
Okay. My 10-year-old self, piece of advice. I know exactly what I would give her, and that it's okay to be different and unique, and that you should really honor your uniqueness and honor the fact that you can be different from those at school and that you don't need to fit in. And you also don't need to make yourself small in an attempt to make others like you. Don't shrink yourself. Let yourself be as big as she wants to be.
That's awesome. Okay. Now your 18-year-old self. 8 years later, and 8 years for some people can be a lifetime. 8 years cannot be. So
it's funny because I was just saying I love my ambition and my drive, but honestly, my 18-year-old self, I would say never lose your ambition and your drive, because my ambition and my drive then was like times 20 to what it is now. I know too much now, and I've let things affect me, and I still have it. It's still me, but back then I was like almost oblivious, where I felt unstoppable. And I would like reach out to anyone, email anyone, would do anything. And like now I've had a lot of dialogues and people tell me like, oh, you don't want to do that. Or maybe I made a mistake. And I was like, ooh, that's scary. And just, it's a lot different being 31 versus 18. So I would say, yeah, never lose that pure drive and ambition. And there's like another word that I'm looking for, but almost that feeling unstoppable.
Okay. And your 25-year-old self?
My 25-year-old self. I would tell her to follow your intuition and stop listening. You can hear what other people are saying and the advice that other people are giving you, but no one knows you better than you.
Okay.
And don't let anyone try to tell you that someone knows you better than you, because they don't. And maybe eat a little more food and take a little less caffeine.
Perfect. What is your soul telling you at this moment?
My soul is telling me at this moment to keep laughing, keep having fun, and continue following your heart. Like, continue dropping into your heart and moving, talking, acting, breathing from the heart space versus the mind.
What do you think your biggest Achilles heel is? So something that kind of always nags you. It could possibly be, oh, I did it again, or oh, like what you think, quote unquote, your biggest problem, but it's not really a problem.
I have a fear, and this is an old wound. It's also a thing that's actually in my chart that I've learned about recently that I need to work through, but I have this fear of getting in trouble, but it's like a more deeper fear. It's a little bit actually metaphorical. It's a little bit of a witch wound, and then it's a little bit metaphorical as well, of getting in trouble or persecution or doing the wrong thing at the expense of myself. So it's like this little fear that I keep trying to grow really big, and then this little fear keeps trying to like keep me down, if that makes sense.
Yep, absolutely. So this is an inside joke, but we're going to give you a little bit of an inside joke to this. So Britt, tell me about your NYC peeps. A little bit of a backstory on this. Britt turned 30 in 2020. As we all know, the pandemic, everything else, nobody could be together. So I put together a video of people wishing her happy birthday, and her lovely aunt sent me some gold videos of you were probably what?
Young.
9?
Yeah, probably.
Probably. And they were In a rap video.
A fake rap video.
Fake rap video, but it was...
Early 2000s.
Yeah.
So like a Nelly video, I think.
Yeah, it was pretty good, folks. And in one of her one-liners was, to all my NYC peeps out there. So with that, tell me about your NYC peeps, but then also, you actually lived in New York City.
So I didn't have any NYC peeps at the time of that video. That was my little creative, expressive self coming out. Also, like, shout out to home videos, first of all.
How great are they?
Like, we're in, like, the TikTok world where you can see yourself. You got, like, dance moves to, like, imitate. Like, everyone's, like, a really good dancer suddenly, somehow. Back then, you were just, like, looking at the camcorder or whatever it was, doing the best you could with this 2000s, 90s music. So, like, your NYC peeps. Like, no one on TikTok today is, like, being that silly and stupid shit. Like, shout out to my NYC peeps, even though there were none at the time. You know what I mean, though?
Yeah.
Like, if you think about it, like,
Yeah.
we've almost lost a piece of the inner child. Like, you can express yourself, not to go off on a tangent, but you're expressing yourself more in, like, a curated state compared to that total free flow. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, you probably can, like, go back to, like, a time
sure.
you being, like, a silly kid making home videos or whatever it is, but I'm sure that still exists, but it just seems like it's almost lost a little bit.
Yeah, and I think it's because we all carry around a phone now with a video recorder on it. It's lost that, but like you did hit it on the head, I think, as well as that craziness that you didn't get to be able to view it and delete it and kind of
like,
go about it.
What am I doing? Like, I watch my videos now and
Yeah.
I cringe. Even you saying it, I'm like, oh my God, are you kidding me right now? Like, definitely should have reviewed the questions before we started
It's
recording.
the beauty of it. She wanted to review them and I wouldn't let her.
But literally
Yeah.
perfect example
Yeah.
of real time of what we're talking about.
Yep.
That's really funny. So I spent a couple years up in New York City working in corporate marketing for the Meredith Corporation. They actually bought, I believe they're the ones who acquired Time Inc. So I think that they're officially called Time Inc. or they just have separate, whatever, working in their corporate marketing and events departments, more or less running VIP corporate events for all of their different brands and partners and things like that, pretty much all over the US is kind of the rundown of it. New York was amazing. It taught me so much. I still stand by this. Like, those in their 20s, I really think should move to a New York City type place because you just learn so much about yourself. It's just like something that you have, you lived in Osaka, Japan, similar type thing. You just got to get out there and let a city show you who you are or who you're not.
Yeah, or chew you up and spit you out. But
for sure, but you learn something about yourself.
Exactly.
There's no timeline. Some people only last a month, some people a couple years, some people the rest of their life. Again, your journey is your journey. And yes, we can look at things and get excited about what other people are doing or take inspiration off of them. There's so much comparison. This might be another Achilles heel because I'm guilty of it, of like comparing myself so much to what other people are doing and other people's timelines and other people's success. Forget all of that, but it's so hard to.
With that, kind of give people what you've previously done. You've had a lot of jobs or a lot of experiences just to give people kind of a better understanding of, hey, you were corporate, you were this, you were that. Kind of give a rundown of what all you've done if you want to give it in a quick snapshot, or if you don't. There's a lot to be said of what you've accomplished or done in your 31 years here, but then also how it's gained and helped you to where you're at now. And help mold you into the person that you've become.
Yeah, it's so funny. It's like a hard thing to answer a little bit, but I'll kind of give a quick rundown, and if there's stuff you want to expand upon, like, definitely feel free, because I feel like I'm leaving some stuff out. I also am backtracking on, a super fun portion of my life, but also a portion where I was highly disconnected. So there's a lot that I did I don't know, it's just weird. But I started out working in the surfing industry, amateur, professional level contests, had a crazy experience over when my boss had gotten sick. So I ended up, really everybody got sick pretty much, except for me. Somehow there was like a red tide thing going around, which would never happen now. The entire event would be shut down or something crazy. We had a hurricane come to. I don't think it was that year. I think it was the year before. Mother Nature actually did try to shut the event down. Anyway, though, where I was given a rare opportunity to work one-on-one with the event organizers of ASP, Association of Surfing Professionals. You probably now better know them as WSL, the World Surf League. Same thing, just a rebrand. And the owners of Vans, CEO of Vans, and Vans Shoe Company, and everything like that. And that propelled me at age 22, a big fast track into that career. I was then freelancing at the time and like traveling around, going to different surfing competitions, helping to run those. And that was super exciting. I worked for the U.S. governing body of water skiing, seen by the USOC, the United States Olympic Committee, in their events and marketing department at different times throughout my lifetime, running their, I guess, being director of their events and marketing department. I then was in New York City, did the corporate marketing and events, reported to the event director, who then we reported directly to the CMO. I was very fortunate of getting that position because of my contacts and things I had done previously. Typically, you would not just enter into a massive corporation. You would normally start at more of an assistant level and work your way up. We were also in corporate. This is where like people say corporate now and they're talking about like a local corporate office. I'm going to say it, legit corporate. I think that the word corporate is thrown around of like, oh, I worked at a marketing company here locally. Cool, I did that too. This is like the corporation overseeing
all these
20, 30 plus brands. Like you're doing it for everyone. Martha Stewart being one of them. What you are consuming that you're considering to be big time media was working, doing all those different VIP and corporate events. I then also, this is all through my 20s as well, was working for a group who managed professional athletes, nonprofits. So I was managing professional athletes who they wanted to have their own nonprofit, do something cool with their money. We would be the team who would manage that for them. I then broke away and did my own, was also working for a massive craft beer company as well in Florida. Then broke away and started my own marketing, PR, event planning, nonprofit strategy, independent company. Oversaw a couple different people who I worked with. I had some professional athletes that I worked with, local businesses, worldwide governing corporations. My first year in business, I actually got hired to go to an event in Japan. So for me, travel has always been a big thing. So to not only start my own company in a year, but then also be traveling globally that same year, a really big deal. Now that I think about that year of everything that took place in our life is crazy. Yeah. And then I am now running my own coaching business. I think I mentioned it at the beginning. It's a combination of health and wellness and life coaching. Again, all about helping you get through the shit that's keeping you up at night so that you can live a more fluid life. And when I say a more fluid life, a life that has flexibility and freedom and is one that is not keeping you up at night and that you are actually sleeping really, really good, aside from a full moon when you need to take some cured nutrition zen. So did that kind of summarize? Yes. That's like
but that's a good synopsis of all the things, and that, like, you kind of mentioned it, through your 20s. Like, you did this basically in like an 8-year period, which is crazy to think. You did all of that in an 8-year to 9-year period.
Yeah.
Which is kind of crazy if you think of it that way. Mm-hmm. Super, super great. And to see where you are now and really giving back to yourself of diving deep and figuring out what your soul wants. Figuring out, sure. That's where I was kind of like, hey, you went and did all this stuff, but ultimately you had an inclination 6 years ago, probably longer than that, of I want to be helping people when you were probably 18.
For sure.
But now you
just always funneled it
differently. And that's what I was kind of like,
And I refused to settle until I found that thing.
Yeah.
And that was the thing is, even if something felt fancy and flashy and like, oh my God, that's so cool. Why would she like not do that anymore? For sure. It was totally cool. Like, I feel you. I've always been super proud and impressed by the things that I've been courageous enough to go pursue and do. But it wasn't 100% for me. It wasn't a hell yes. And I tried it because I wanted to and did it. And then I was like, dang, still isn't it. And like, that's okay. Like, we have freedom to make changes and explore and continue pulling back the layers until you find the thing. And some people find the thing early on, and good for you.
Yeah.
Others, again, we're all on our own different timelines. And I didn't mean to harp on the context of corporate because, again, we all have different sized tanks. I just see a lot of people talking about burnout and being a workaholic and throwing around really extreme terms who are a couple years out of college and have held, a local job. And there's nothing wrong with that. You can still hit those during that, but I don't think people are actually understanding the full capacity of those terms and actually being in that, literally working yourself to a pulp. There's a difference in I had a really busy 5 days and I'm exhausted. Cool. A lot of us versus I've been literally working myself to a pulp for the last 8 months, 3 years, whatever it is. And I don't mean to go off on a soapbox. I just that their burnout and workaholism, all those things are even
they're trending. They can be trending words right now, but
really
they're really
serious things.
Exactly.
And for me, having been in really serious situations, it just is a little irks my, it's one thing to say, yeah, I resonate with certain things, or I get it. I've overworked myself for 4 days in a row, and I see how bad that could be if you did that for 3 years. But if you haven't done it for an extended period of time, or I, worked in corporate and corporate didn't work out for me, there's all different versions of corporate. And again, that's one is better than the other. And I'm not trying to say my journey stands out among others because it really doesn't. We're all so similar, and we're also all co-creating with each other.
Yeah.
At any given point in time. I just, in our social media world, I think certain phrases are not always used intentionally, I'll say.
Yep.
Anyway, I feel I don't know. I'm trying to make that sound better. I don't know what I'm trying to say.
So we're going to kind of shift a little bit now. We're going to go into a little bit more about you and I.
Cool.
Give a little bit more context that way. How has your relationship with yourself evolved since you first met me?
My relationship with myself, it has evolved times 10. You were a very key piece in this journey. I was mentioning earlier, and I'm speaking to it from coaches and mentors and therapists, but also relationships. Those who are in your life, such as your partner, such as your friends, such as your family, teach you so much about yourself. But you in particular, Dan, I was really closed off. Anytime something would get uncomfortable, I was 1 foot out the door at every single moment, and I was just throwing up brick walls behind me as fast as I could throw them up. And you worked really, really hard to break all of those down. However, I also worked really, really hard with your guidance to step over those walls at the same time. Yeah, it's just evolved. You can, speak to some of it too if you'd like to, but just so much. Just feeling, having that abandonment wound, going through different things, understanding I was carrying things that weren't even mine in the first place. They were just cords that were attached to me. You've really helped me grow so much at an individual level through partnership, career, health, all the things. You attribute a lot of what I've done for you, and you speak about that a lot, but I don't think enough goes to say what you've done for me, because just because you can physically, quote unquote, see what I've done for you because you're alive and off prescription medicine is not to say that me being alive is also not a celebration, because I think there is, you speak to mental health all the time.
What is your favorite activity to do with each other and then by yourself?
Together is definitely going, it's going to sound so stupid, going and doing things.
Can you please elaborate on that, miss?
Yeah, going and traveling together, going to a new part of the city together, going out and paddleboarding together, going surfing together, saying, hey, we're going to go do this for the weekend. And then that starts when we're, as a team, literally without even speaking, packing up the car. We know exactly, okay, Britt's going to get this and Dan's going to get this. It's this fluid dance of us literally in partnership packing up a car. And I'm, oh my God, I've been wanting this my entire life. Life can be easy.
Yeah.
It can be so easy. And that doesn't mean we don't disagree and go through rough patches, but we do, because those bring us stronger together. Going out, doing things, experiencing new things together, hands down, laughing together, being silly together. And then things I love to do by myself. I also like to do these things with you too. It's just a little bit of a different energy when someone else is there. But I don't know why I'm laughing. I love meditating. I love guided meditations. I love understanding, whether it's my own or through someone else, I love understanding energy and my brain and my spirit guides and seeing where my third eye will take me and getting to know like my own chakra system and the earth and I love meditating. Yeah. Or awesome. Walking meditations, or, meditation can be so many different things. But yeah, I just love getting to know my own energy, I think is what I'll say.
With that, I know that meditation's a part of this, so this kind of transitions well. What is your favorite part of your morning routine? I know you harp on me about it. Hey, you got to get like a morning routine. So what's your favorite part of your morning routine? And then can you walk us through your morning routine?
So my morning routine is different, varies all the time. There's not one specific routine. I do have a couple check marks that really kind of like round out the routine that I will get to. I would also be lying if I didn't say that there are some mornings where I roll over and I scroll on my phone for 20 minutes. But I will then sometimes, if I do that and my mind is awake and doing things, it can actually be really hard for me to then go try to drop into a meditation or a journaling session or something like that. So sometimes I will actually clean up if there are dishes in the kitchen, do a little task that can then help bring my brain back down into a little bit more of a present state of mind. But my morning routine, so I kind of follow the principles of my magic ritual, which is where I kind of consider my mornings to be more ritualistic, which my magic ritual is an acronym for magic, which stands for meditation, activity, gratitude, intention, and creativity. So I meditate every day. I get in my activity, whether that is walking, yoga, Pilates, the occasional high intensity workout, just running around in nature, appreciating the sunrise, seeing the changing colors of the sky. I love that nothing more. Like it literally, I love it. And gratitude, again, kind of goes into that, like loving the sunrise, like just showing and feeling gratitude for everything. Key word is actually feeling gratitude for everything in my life, intention, setting my intention for the day, my intention for my morning routine, like intention is everything. And creativity can be a number of things. Usually creativity for me usually signifies journaling and brain dumping, getting out whatever I need to onto paper, whether I'm reflecting and having all these crazy downloads and beautiful things come through, whether I am emotionally regulating through whatever process that needs to look like. Yeah, that's kind of it. And then hanging out with you, Dan, having our warm lemon water, our cacao beverages, playing with the dogs is so much fun. Like for me, just really going slow in the mornings is one of my favorite things. And I appreciate them so much because I used to just get out of bed, jump in the shower, grab the Starbucks coffee on the way to work, or even let me reverse that when I was driving to an office. Also, when I started my own company, I was still doing that. I was just getting out of bed, going in the shower, getting coffee, and then sitting down at my desk. I don't sit down at my desk for at least 2 hours in the morning. Just because you quit your job, that's not going to like completely change your life overnight. You will still be the same person that you were then, just working at home.
Yeah. You actually hit on it. One of my next questions was going to be, can you explain more about magic and what it all encompasses? But you did a phenomenal job, so you took the words right out of my mouth. With that being said, what do you love about our relationship? You said that you like the mornings and this and that, but elaborate more than just a morning.
Yeah, I love the ability to be myself in a relationship, the ability to not have to hold anything back, not feel like I have to hold a piece of myself back. I love being able to be silly with you. I also love the fact that I know you are always there supporting me. And we can like play and laugh together, but then I need you to literally hold me up right now, and you will hold me up, or vice versa. I get to do that for you. We get to be vulnerable together. We get to be open together. We get to be mad at each other, but not in the slamming doors and that kind of crazy madness, just like frustration because we're not speaking the same language, that we then come back and understand each other. Being safe to cry together and having someone who is as adventurous as I am, way more adventurous than I am, who's open to trying new things, and who the crazy things that I say and do or read about or think about or whatever it is, you laugh for a second, but you like literally, you just let me be me. And I don't think in any relationship I've ever been able to fully be me, 100% full circle. I love all the relationships in my life, but there's something very special about ours where I've been fully able to I've gotten to a place where I don't need to hold anything back. And that is so freeing and so, so healthy.
Nice.
So thank you for that. What about for you? I don't like answering this main question, so I'm going to start interviewing you back.
I'm not done yet. Yeah, that's not how this works, Britt. That's not how this works. No, I mean, it's in that same realm of our relationship is easy for the most part. Yes, we fight. Yes, we bicker. Yes, it's not all butterflies and rainbows. I'm not trying to portray that, but it has been so easy from the start. The fact of, and the stuff that we've been through in this short time together has been astronomical and crazy, to the fact that people don't normally deal with the stuff we've been through in a lifetime as a married couple.
And certainly not in 5 years.
Exactly.
Years.
So I think it's
we've been through more than most people go through.
Yeah, and not saying
to like tout that,
not to tout that, like, but it's just
wild.
that's what our souls were put on this earth to do, and work through and help others with those scenarios and bring awareness to it. And that's been a big thing.
We signed up for this.
Yeah.
I think that's like maybe the bigger thing. It's like we've signed up for this. I signed up for my journey. You signed up for yours. Like everything that we.
And
were
when you say that, you mean like your soul has.
Yes. Yes. Not necessarily the how.
Yeah.
Like it wasn't the like, oh, I want this to happen like this, but it was like, hey, something will happen to help uncover this, and then however that transpires here, because we all have free will, is how that is going to transpire.
But yeah, I think just with our relationship, it's been easy. It's been fun. It's the adventure of, hey, let's go jump out of an airplane. You're like, okay. And I asked you now, and I was like, would you do it again? You're like, probably not.
Yeah. I mean, I've always wanted to skydive my whole life, but it was way more of a thing than I expected it to be.
Yeah.
Like it was so fun, but it was scary. I don't even know if scary is the right word. It was something about, and again, I think just like the brain of,
it's
holy
the buildup
shit,
too.
We're like literally falling through the sky, and like, I hope this thing, the parachute or whatever works, or like I don't get suddenly unclipped from the instructor. I think that was more me, again, control freak, because I was like, if something goes wrong, he's got like the thing on him, I don't have anything on me.
Yeah, like
what happens to me? Like if he unclips me,
let's hope he doesn't unclip you.
So again, I didn't have any control skydiving, so that's probably what I didn't like.
But it's just like, it's building those experiences. I think it's been another thing, is that you are very much an experienced person as much as I am. But yeah, I mean, to the fact of having the crazy dogs that we have, and we love them they're full on our children and everything else, but just we lived in an RV, we lived in a beach place, we've lived on a lake home, like we've lived in an apartment, we've lived in crazy places. And
you lived with your parents for like a small amount of time.
Yeah, we lived with my parents, and like, it's just one of those things, you were just, yep, this is what it, like, and you never once gave me a hard time about it, or gave each other or anything like that. You're like, yep, this is what it is. It's not permanent, or it is, or whatever. Like, it's been great. And that's just been a big thing that I've loved about all of like your characteristics, of like how open and loving and great you are just as a human. How frustrated you get with me on certain things. I'm like, oh yeah, I need to do a little bit, or try a little bit harder, that kind of stuff. So what is your favorite characteristic about me?
I feel like everything.
You can't say everything.
I know.
You cannot say everything.
Probably your character. You just have really great character. Charisma. I don't even know that I fully know the definition of charisma, but charisma was like coming out of my mouth. Yeah, just your sense of character, your ability to be like a strong man and like be the man, but then you can also really sensitive at the same time, and not like as a pussy, but just as like a human being.
Mm-hmm.
Can be like the man, but then you can also be like, yeah, I'm human too, and like I'm struggling with this. And your ability to, how do I say this correctly? You like equalize, like we balance each other out.
Mm-hmm.
In a way. I would literally never see myself with anyone else. Like, how could I ever? Because I would literally be comparing any other partner to you. Like, no other partner would ever build up to you, if that makes sense.
Makes sense. Can you elaborate on that?
Oh, it's hard. It's hard to like describe. For instance, like I love the fact like I always wanted a guy who was like driven and business oriented and successful and knew what it meant to like work hard, but then also could be fun. Like that never like being like business and driven and success never, for what I had found, never came with a fun side. It's like, oh, I can do these things, but yeah, I don't know how to drive a boat or how to like change a tire on a car or how to like, I don't know, rewire the lighting or do other things, you know, or like, oh, go out and like have a personality and laugh. But then the guy who was typically, again, I'm like generalizing per my experiences, who was into like water sports and boating and could like do all those things, had no sense of drive the other way. So I was always like, dang, why do I have to choose? Like, why can't I just find someone who like does it all? Like you do it all. Like you're like the full package, and I just never the full package to me. Like you're my full package. You may not be for some, you know, and you're also like super good looking as well and like super active and can like do all the sports and like do all the things, but then are down to come to a sound healing with me or do these like ceremonial type things, and like you're also like down with it all. Like I'm like, hey, I want to go do this thing, and you're like, okay, yeah, let's do it. You know, that like a lot of guys, a lot of people, not just guys, a lot of people would not be down with. But you're just like, okay, sure, we'll try it.
Don't get me wrong, folks. There have been times where I question a lot of it. I'm like, all right, sure, let's go with it. But it's also been, I've learned a lot though too, and you've opened and helped me get deeper in touch with my more emotional side and get deeper in touch with things that it's not just a surface level thing, or it's like, hey, you've said it on this, there's deeper things, or if you're questioning something, that's probably because there's an alternative answer, or there's something that's not driving with you. So thank you for that. And I think you've also done that with a lot of other people, and people that you don't even know, that you've never met, and that people that you've touched on this podcast outside of this. There are people out there that I know that you don't know, that absolutely adore you and love you and are like, oh my God, that one time she said this and it's changed my life, or this, like that type of stuff. So it's been a privilege and a pleasure that I get to call you my wife, and I am truly one of the happiest, if not the happiest guy in the world. Yes, I am still down in the dumpstering sometimes and that kind of stuff, but you pick me up, you help me. Do you get frustrated with me when you're like, Dan, all you have to do is this? But as we both know, we both operate differently. We're wired differently, and that's what's very nice and unique, is that we do complement each other very well.
That's the word I was looking for. We complement each other very well. Thank you. And I think we're also at like where we are in our relationship right now. I really appreciate, because I feel like we're at this place, and it might just be me, where we're really seeing each other's differences, but we're really appreciating each other's differences. Like we're really understanding, oh, Britt makes decisions this way and Dan makes them this way. I do this and you do this, or that. Like, I feel like we're so aware right now of really seeing and feeling, and like,
and we're getting better at it. We're getting much better at it.
For sure.
And
it's just really cool to be like, oh, right, okay. Do you need more time? And you're like, yeah, I can't make this decision right now. Whereas for me, I'm instant. I'm like, it's a yay or a nay.
Yeah, well, and that's even like, it was like we were going through this the other day, and you finally were like, Dan, just say, hey, you can't make a decision right now. It's not the end. But I felt in that moment, I needed to make a decision. And I'm like, and you're like, okay, just say, hey, I need 24 hours, or I need 12 hours, or I need an hour. Let me come back to you. I need to take a step away. And that's been the beauty of learning about each other. But also that's where I think we continue to try to learn how to better our relationship for ourselves, but for each other as well. Has been a huge thing, for me at least. Has been a massive thing for that.
Same.
With that being said, that kind of wraps it up. I'm not like that. I'm not coming up with anything right now. This was super fun. I had a really good time. I hope you did as well. And I hope that you guys out there, this gives you a little bit more of an insight to Britt's side and her past, and kind of getting interviewed on her own podcast and kind of opening that up, because I think I learned some stuff, and I hope you guys did as well. And this has been an awesome journey, and I'm glad I get to be a part of it.
Yeah, thank you so much, my love. This was so much fun. Let's see. Okay, so we have like maybe 5 minutes before we completely wrap this thing up.
Okay.
Let's do some on the spot, like rapid fire questions.
Okay.
If you have one, you can say it.
Yeah. All right, I'm going to go through a couple.
Okay.
Coffee or tea?
Ooh, tea.
Pizza or burrito?
Burrito.
Movie or theater show?
Theater show.
Okay.
Like a theater?
Yeah, like a like a live show.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, live show.
Okay. Staying in for dinner or going out to dinner?
Going out.
Okay. Doing a staycation or traveling abroad?
Traveling abroad, but staycations are really nice.
Okay. Car or truck?
Car. Can't park a truck.
Kind of a loaded question.
If you don't know, I have like a little bit of depth perception.
Not a little bit. Let's rephrase that, Britt. If you ever get in a car with her, just please have her park in a parking garage and you'll understand what this all means.
A little trouble seeing if I can like actually fit into spots.
But the great thing is, though, is you really haven't been in that many accidents, knock on wood.
Not at all.
Which has been good.
Or I don't like hit people while parking.
Yeah. You're not like, oh, I backed into that car again, or
I've never done that. Yeah.
So.
Because I play it safe.
Yeah, this is an easy question, but water or milk?
Ew. Water.
I'm just thinking of like quick,
yeah. Okay, so for you, coffee or tea?
Coffee.
Burrito or pizza?
Pizza.
Fried chicken or steak?
Depends on where the fried chicken's from. That's a loaded question.
Okay. That was a silly question. Regular water or bubbly water?
Bubbly water all day long.
Lemon or lime?
Lime.
I think that's all I got. Ooh, I got one. AC or windows open, fresh air?
Depends on where I'm at and how hot I sweat. You know this. I get clammy. I sweat a lot. I don't like to be... I grew up in Minnesota. Even though I've lived in Florida for 17 years, I'm still I don't like to be super hot, but then again, I hate being cold, so...
All right, final question. What does loving your own soul mean to you?
You've never actually asked me this. Touche, my friend, touche. Loving my own soul is basically, to me, is loving the person that you are deep down inside. Loving yourself to the fullest ability of that person, but also understanding that just like any relationship, you're going to have some good days and some bad days. And you're going to have days that are not rainbows and butterflies, and you're going to have days that are. Loving your own soul to me, is building the awareness for it, opening up about it, but also talking about it openly and freely with people of like, hey, and I still need to get better at this. And I work on this every day of saying, hey, I'm not doing well right now. I need to do this or I need to do that. Hey, real men get therapists. There's no doubt about it. And not saying that you're not a real man if you're not seeing a therapist, but if you're going through something and it's best to talk it out. And a lot of times you feel like you can't talk it out with your partner, and that's okay. So find somebody that you can, whether it's a friend, a therapist, a guy at the grocery store. Sometimes like strike up a conversation. We're in this like weird, like, oh, don't talk to people outside and this and that. Like, no, like we all want to be a part of community. You don't know what that guy's going through and you don't know what he could help you with type of thing. Speak. That's the biggest thing. But also be kind to yourself. Be kind to your soul. Be kind to yourself. Be kind to your others, but mainly be kind to yourself. And your soul.
Love that. Well, Dan, thank you so much. This was super fun. I hope those listening enjoyed it. Just a little flipping the mic. I loved your questions. And yeah, I was pretty intimidated by this, to be honest with you. I've been interviewed, I think, on like 6 or 7 different podcasts now, but something about having it so the mic flipped on your own brings like just a different energy.
Yeah. Well, and I know you a little bit better than probably some of the other people that have interviewed you.
Just a little bit. Don't go to bed with them every night. So.
I hope not. News to me.
Yeah. Well, once again, thank you all so much for tuning in. Dan, thank you for being here. If you enjoyed this conversation or the show in general, definitely feel free to give it a rating and review on Apple Podcasts. Your reviews really just mean so much to me and our wonderful guests or co-interviewers. And once again, if you're interested in trying out Cured Nutrition, you can use the code OLSON, OLSON, to receive 10% off your order. And I think that's it. So thank you, Dan. So grateful to have you here with us.
Thank you.